Jake, you got beat out on best dress today. We'll give it to Dean. Today was good. First day of pads. Had good physical practice. Got some red zone working today. Got some situation, move the ball work today. So, third practice, and those guys did a really good job of what we want to get accomplished. But getting pads for the first time. The first 2 days are always difficult, especially for the offensive line and the defensive line. But our guys did a good job today. And we'll see how they recover, and they got to bounce back because we got another one tomorrow. So.
Not that it wasn't there the last couple of days, but does the intensity naturally go up when pads go on?
Yeah, it does. It's a good question on it because pads are on. And the one thing you don't want when you don't have pads on is a kid rolling off the ball and hitting somebody because the defense is cooperating. And then the next play, the defensive guy's mad, so he's rolling off. There's got to be a certain amount of mental intensity in terms of what my assignment is and how locked am I in on what's going. But you got to cooperate. And then today it was, we're back to we got pads on, we can protect ourselves, so we can come off the ball, the defensive line come off the ball. So it did pick up a little bit from that standpoint. You could tell, just as those guys were running around, that it was a little bit of a different feeling there when you got the pads on, which is what we're going to play in. So that's the good part about getting out like this.
Is your red zone efficiency where you want it to be come September?
No, not at all. Our defense did a good job down there today. You got to look at the film, and it's we got a lot of guys going in and out, but to get our guys in those situations really, really helps so that they get an understanding of what we want in there. You can't take a sack, can't have a turnover, can't have a penalty down there because we're already in field goal range. So, as a quarterback, sometimes the right decision is just throwing the ball away and making sure that we don't lose that valuable field position. But you can talk about it all you want until you get them actually put in those situations in practice and they get to experience it. That's the big part of it. So, we'll keep banging it. It was our first day down there, but we got some good film to teach off of. So.
When those game scenarios present themselves, Brian's experience, does that show up in practice? And does that give him any sort of edge over Marcus, as we're all kind of assuming?
No, and I wouldn't say you're all assuming because I can never speak for all of you.
Sure.
But Marcus and those guys have been in those situations in practice, so it just depends, and we'll look at the film. You would hope Brian has got a little an understanding because he has played, but Marcus is pretty sharp too. So it's not like when Marcus goes in there in the red zone, he's throwing turnovers all the time. And his answer is, "Well, I've never been in there before." I mean, he understands what we're trying to do. So that's as many reps as we can get helps both those guys.
I think early said, but is this a natural progression? Will this be a year maybe Anthony gets more carries? I know he's going to touch the ball.
Oh yeah, definitely. He'll get more carries. Obviously, the Michael's gone, so who's going to take all of those carries? And he's got a second year of being in our program, a second year of understanding what we're doing. We can add more things, things maybe we thought about doing last year, but hey, that's a little bit too much on his plate. But, we'd be crazy if we didn't get him involved. So.
And you might have addressed this, but is a track and field possible for him this
I don't know. I haven't really talked to him. It's available to him if he wants to do it. So it's really an individual decision on his part. But if he wants to, we encourage him to do it. I think we got a great relationship with him. Dior and BJ ran in the wintertime. If he wants to get out there in the spring, I'd be anxious. I got all the meets at home, so I'd like to go see him.
Has he said to you what he kind of wants his role to be in terms of getting more carries?
No, we don't have those kind of conversations. If I did, I'd have everybody in my office tell me how many times I want to carry the ball. So they understand. The great thing about Anthony, he's just such a great team guy. He just wants to win. So whatever his role can be, he's an awesome, part of our whole program of putting the team first. How loud is Nick Cody right now, by the way? Hey, Nick, there's other interviews going on, by the way. You don't have to really amplify that much. That's okay. You're back in the bowl with the music playing where you're calling out the point guard. Okay. No, he's a great team guy, and that's why we win, because we got team guys, and they're not selfish, whatever they can do. And sometimes the best play is him carrying out a great play-action fake so that we can throw the ball down the field. So he understands that.
How are Brian Jackson, Avery Patterson coming along, filling that void of Eddie Pleasant?
Both those guys have done a good job so far. And again, we're rolling so many guys through. You're going to see Eric Dargan in there. I know John Neal's had some of his corners in there in nickel situations. A guy like J.R. Maffey's getting a lot of reps in there. So, but for the first 3 days, I've been real happy with both Brian and Avery. So, and those guys have played a lot of football for us. They haven't technically been starters, but because we rotate in the secondary and then we go to some sub packages playing nickel and dime, where we have 5 DBs and 6 DBs on the field, those guys have played a lot of football for us. So.
Hey Chip, are Kelly and Mathis running in the track meet tomorrow? Or are they going to be at practice?
Well, we got practice, so they're not running the track meet unless the 100 meters is after 1:30, then they can go run
I
it.
think it's at 1:15.
1:15, that's going to be real difficult. Maybe they can run a deep route and just head right over to Hayward Field. But for that meet, they're going to practice. We only get 15 opportunities and X amount of pads, and both those guys need prep. So they'll beat all the other ones.
Coach, Eric and the other young guys picking it up. Are they getting better? I know it's only 3 days in, but are you seeing good movement from them?
Yeah, we got 3 young guys, Jake and Evan and Eric, and they've both been thrown in, and all 3 of those guys have, they're going to make mistakes, which is obvious, but they're not glaring mistakes when they make them, so it's not like, oh my God, who's in there right now? Those guys, all 3 of those guys have kind of picked things up, so far so good for 3 days in, but and that's a credit to those guys. They got pretty good minds on them, and they got a pretty good football background, so they understand what we're doing. It's just a matter of processing. They may have called it this when they played at their high school, and we call it this, but they've done a pretty good job of assimilating themselves into what we're doing.
Do you enjoy this time of year just because of the teaching aspect?
I enjoy every time of year.
But is there more teaching?
No. I mean, people say that spring ball's better, but you love competition. You got games in the fall, and that gets your blood going. So, the teaching part, as long as we're in practice, whether it's the fall or the spring, that's the fun time. The downtime for us is, in May and June and July when you can't coach, or in, late January, February, and March when you're not around. But April or September through January for us is the fun part. As long as you're with your guys, you get the coach, you can be in meetings, and whether you're scheming to be an opponent or you're just trying to get guys better, I think that's all kind of the same to me. But all the practice part is fun for us. So.